The Uhuru Academy overall is an amazing school from the teacher to the students. Is a place where kids can build their confidence and learn how to write, read, type, all of that good stuff. We learn our history here. We honor our ancestors, so we learn about who we are and where we come from, and I really enjoy this about this school. And like everybody's pretty much saying, it's a safe space, and we can always be able to feel like we can open up to our classmates and our teachers. So that's what I love.
I love the environment in that they promote not being afraid to ask for help.
Something positive about the Uhuru Academy is this is a safe space, and you can be able to say whatever you want to say without being embarrassed. Just like how Amani said, I've been able to sometimes I can be shy talking around people, but y'all taught me not to be shy and everything. This is a very good school. The part that I love about this is when we do ancestor reverence and African history.
I think this is the greatest school I've ever went to because you teach me about my history, and at the other schools they never taught me one thing about my history. They just taught the only black people they talked about at my other schools were like Carter G. Woodson, Martin Luther King, and I think that's it. So you guys helped me learn my true history.
Potential and paid handsomely not to reach it. This is for my young brothers. Talented, strong, ambitious, but misguided. Fear because of your potential and paid handsomely not to reach it. Claiming the hood you haven't been educated to take over. Running streets that you don't really run and going to war against other hoods that you can't acquire. Moving dope you don't grow, busting guns you don't manufacture, and trapping out of houses you didn't build. Using your poetry to boost your bravado, not knowing that you're really showing us how much of a man you're not. Wrapping poverty up in gold and diamonds. Driving it around in fancy cars. Walking it into yours, but never really leaving it behind because poverty is just as much a mentality as it is a situation. Bragging yourself to your own downfall. Calling death to your own door, claiming brotherhood but rapping about fake friends, loving children you hardly see while hating and abusing women you can't stay away from. All these contradictions, but you're a real one. You can put on a suit, but to them, you're still one. So the cure is inside of you. I know you know what needs to be done. You just fear the work that it takes to get it done. But I promise, when you grow, manufacture, and own more than you beg, borrow, and destroy, you'll see the world different. That's not an op, that's your brother. And that's not a bitch, that's your mother. I'm Baba Amin. It's been a minute.
Peace and power, scholars. I'm back. That's right. Baba Amin is back with another powerful African proverb. Scholars, today's proverb is, a bird does not change its feathers just because the weather is bad. Hey, y'all, we all gonna run into some challenges in life. Sometimes things are not gonna go as planned. But don't you go changing up on yourself. Don't you go losing confidence. Don't you go looking at yourself in the mirror with your head down, right? Because a bird does not change its feathers just because the weather is bad. Y'all, when times get hard, that's when we embrace our principles. That's when we embrace our values. We're consistent. If you work hard, continue to work hard. Be consistent. If you're focused, continue to be focused. Be consistent. Think about some of our ancestors like Malcolm X, who, even though the FBI was watching him, even though many black leaders spoke out against him, and even with the backdrop of Jim Crow America, Malcolm never stopped fighting for black people. He was consistent. You know, they say Malcolm was so consistent that whenever he had a meeting, he would arrive 15 minutes early every time. That he ate his meals once a day at the same time. I pray I can have that kind of consistency someday. How about you? Well, look, today I want you to write what this proverb means to you. And then I want you to write a story with this proverb as the moral of the story. Remember, a bird does not change its feathers just because the weather is bad. We don't give up when times get hard. We dig in. We don't lay down when times get tough. We stand up. I know you're going to enjoy studying this proverb and applying it to your life, and especially writing about it. I'm looking forward to reading your work. Happy writing. Peace. Peace and power, family. Peace and power. Welcome to the Temple of New African Unity. I am your minister, or the minister here at the Temple of New African Unity, Baba Amin Imamu Ojuok. And this is sort of like the rebirth of Temple. I'm a little nervous today, you know, because I have not been on my ministry in a while, you know, especially consistently. You know what I'm saying? And so I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. And let me make sure all my audio settings are correct. They are all right. And y'all can hear me okay. If somebody could put something in the chat and let me know that you can hear me okay, that'd be great as well. Everything indicates that on my end that everything is working. Okay. And so we're gonna do this. And I don't know how many people are gonna rock with me today. You know, I don't know how many people are going to rock with me on this walk, period, you know, but this is a part of my calling. A huge part of my calling in this life is to help uplift and unify our people, to help strengthen us, help us strengthen ourselves spiritually, to help foster unity among our people, you know, on a spiritual level, because we are in our essence a spiritual people. And I know people talk you know, about religion and spirituality and all of that, and they go at it, but the matter of fact is that we are a spiritual people. We always have been. So many African societies are spiritual at its roots, and we've had several religions. We've called God by many names. We've had many deities, and it was all for a distinct purpose, and that distinct purpose was so that we can live balanced lives while we were here on earth, that we could live lives that complemented nature, lives that promoted our survival and our thriving as a species, lives that where we, you know, it kept us from war. It keeps us committed to a formula, to a life formula that's been successful so far for us. And so, you know, the Temple of New African Unity was founded to provide a safe space in our community where Black people can come together, irregardless of our spiritual or religious beliefs. We can come together based on those things that we have in common, rather than staying separated because of beliefs that we have that are different. A place where we can come and learn from one another, teach and reach each other, right? And build a community that's based on mutual respect, a community that's based on core values that feed us and protect us and protect our children, right? Coming together based on what we want to see us become as a people. The Temple of New African Unity was founded in 2011 by myself, my wife, and some dedicated people in our community in Fort Worth, Texas. And when I tell y'all, when we created the space and people began to come each and every Sunday, it transformed the community. You know, and we looked up, and it was 150, 200 people coming on a Sunday. And it literally began to transform a community. We provided a safe space, man. We provided a safe space for young people to come and gain wisdom without judgment. We provided a safe space for people who were coming into consciousness, were kind of confused as to which way to go. What do I do with this white Jesus now that I'm picking up this truth? What do I do with it? You know what I'm saying? And we provide that safe space
space to come and help people make healthy transitions into Black consciousness, as opposed to being taken advantage of, as opposed to being exploited by people who will use our story to exploit others. The Temple of New African Unity is a place where people can come and make that transition in a healthy way. Right. And peace to you, Arik Aru. Peace to Tracy Oakman. Peace to Ashia Israel in the house. Peace to Haley Lair and everyone who is checking us out, whether you're in and out or you're here to stay. I appreciate just taking a few minutes out. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know my spirit told me to do this today. But we can't begin anything without first honoring our ancestors and offering a prayer to the Creator. You know what I'm saying? And give thanks, Arik. It is great to have Temple back, and we're here to stay. If God say the same, the Creator says the same, we're here to stay. If I have to just come and sit on here and it's me and Arik, one person listens each and every week, we're going to put in the work to put this message of Black unity out there. Right? We're going to put in this work, and we're going to let people know that it's time. You know, that it's time, and that there is a space where we can go where it's about our growth. It's not about a debate. It's not about figuring out who's right and who's wrong. It's about our own personal growth. It's about our own personal accountability, right? And so this might not be an attractive space for a lot of people, because it is going to be more about personal accountability. It's not going to be about how great you are just as an individual. It's not going to be, we're not going to be here teaching you that your problem is that you're surrounded by haters and you just got to separate yourself from them haters. Now, this is not that kind of space. This is a space where we're going to focus on our collective strength. We're going to focus on our collective unity. That's what this space is all about. Peace to my brother, JD Jemison, you know what I'm saying, an original Temple member. Peace to my sister, Tina James in Fort Worth, Texas, a powerful sister as well. But let's get started as we always do, y'all. And that's by giving honor to the Creator. We're going to offer prayer to the Creator. You know, I'm out there. If I scare you off, it is what it is. But this is what my spirit has called for me to do today. As we've always done in Temple, we're going to honor our Creator. Many people call the Creator by many names, right? But we those of us in Temple recognize that there is a force out there that is responsible for the creation of the universe, that's responsible for the order of all things, right? And what you refer to that energy is what you refer to that energy. But as our ancestors did, we give reverence to that energy in everything that we do. And so now I'm going to offer up a prayer, and then we're gonna pour libations to our ancestors. All right. Creator, we come to you humbly and peacefully and in gratitude for the opportunity to gather today, for the opportunity to fellowship today, for the opportunity to remind ourselves from whence we came and where we're going to return. Creator, we recognize that there is no work that we can do in this plane without your force behind us. We recognize that there is order to this place, there is chaos to this place, and it's our job to understand that order, to understand that chaos. But in order to do that, we must center ourselves. Creator, we appreciate the challenges that are put before us, because these challenges make us stronger. We appreciate our unity because we understand that our unity will change the world. Creator, as we move forward with our work today, and as we move forward with our work in the future, just stand with us, guide us, teach us, be there. We'll listen and we'll move accordingly. In the name of all those in the great line of divine, we pray. Amin. Ashe. Y'all, it's been a while. It's been a while since I did that in a public space. But we're just offering up a prayer to the Creator of all things. You may say Allah, you may say God, you may say Jehovah, you may say Jah, right? But we do recognize, regardless of that name, in Yame, Oladumare, we recognize the creation energy, in that deity. And so we say Creator. We end our prayer with Amin Ra. Amin Ra is yes, it was the name of a Kemetic deity, but it also represents the seen and the unseen, right? Amin representing those forces that we know exist, but that we can't physically see, like air, like the wind, right? And then Ra representing the sunlight, the light, those things that we can see. So the seen and the unseen, right? And that actually comes from ancient African spirituality. And there's no accident that at the end of most prayers in major religions, we say Amen or Amin or Amen, Amin Ra. Ashe. All right then. Cool. All right. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna start honor. We're gonna honor our ancestors through the pouring of libations. We recognize as African people that we're only here because our ancestors were here. So who are we to begin any endeavor without honoring them first in libations? It's a symbolic ceremony, right? Right, where we pour water into a plant as we call out our ancestors' names, right? And that water symbolizes pouring life into the plant as our ancestors have literally poured life into us, right? A lot of us from the block, you've been pouring libations for a long time. You crack open your drink and you pour a little bit out for the homies who ain't here. Well, that's libation, right? And so each and every week at the Temple of New African Unity, we open up with prayer and we open up with libation. If there's someone you would like me to pour libation to, you can put that name in the comments, right? Put that name in the comments. Someone who has passed on. It could be a personal ancestor who passed on in your family, or it could be one of our common ancestors, right? It could be one of our collective ancestors, like a Malcolm X or a Dr. King. But at this time, you could go ahead and put names in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do have a plant here, my little tree. Right, my little tree, looking good, y'all. What I'm doing is I give it a little water, you know what I'm saying, taking care of it. And shout out to my beautiful wife and Koyo Ojuwoku, who also makes sure that my plant is watered as well, because Baba will forget sometimes. But it's gonna be well fed every week now, because this is our libation plant. And I'm gonna get started, y'all. This morning, I would like to pour libation for my mother, Alice Baker. Ashe. All right. I'd also like to pour libation for Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Ashe. All right. I'd like to pour libation for Malcolm X. Ashe. Ashe. All right, Eric. I want to pour libation for C.E. Eubanks. Ashe. 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 I'd like to pour libation for W.B. Du Bois. Ashe. 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 I'd like to pour libation for Lonnie Rowland. Ashe. Ashe, Ashe. I like to pour libation for my big brother, Kenneth Darren Thomas. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Ashe. Well, we come from a beautiful people, don't we? I like to pour libation for my grandmother, Jessie Mae Williams. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Betty Shabazz, the wife of Malcolm X. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Charlie Maud Reed. Ashe. We pour libation for Jimmy Reed. Ashe. I like to pour libation for a very special sister who was a founding member of the Temple of New African Unity. She just transitioned on last week. Her government name was Carmen Washington. We knew her as Queen Aminafu. I like to pour libation for Queen Aminafu. Ashe. I like to pour libation for my grandfather, Cleveland Williams. Ashe. I like to pour libation for all those who transitioned in the Middle Passage. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Eric Reed. Ashe. I like to pour libation for all those who were born and transitioned on the plantation and never knew freedom. Ashe. At this time, I pour libation for all those we have not named, but we certainly have not forgotten. Ashe. 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 All right. All right. My plant thanks you. Our ancestors are pleased. Whenever we enter a space, before we begin an endeavor, we honor our ancestors because they're the reason that we are here. We honor our ancestors also because when they're present, we behave different. When we know when Big Mama watching you, you on your P's and Q's. When Paw looking, you know you're gonna behave yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very important that when we can get in spaces together, especially spaces where those of us of different ideologies are coming together. It's very important that we honor our ancestors and honor something that we have in common as we begin the day. What is the Temple of New African Unity? And I felt that, and we have a topic that we're going to get to today, but I felt that it was important that I shared what the Temple of New African Unity is for those who don't know. right? And share what we're building. I'm not just talking to be talking. We're building a community. We're reviving a community. We're adding on to a community of Black people that believe in Black unity. Right. And matter of fact, at Temple, we say our only religion is Black unity. Temple, formally is an interfaith spiritual center where our only religion is Black people coming together. You know, our Christians believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Well, at Temple, we believe in the resurrection of African people. We believe in the resurrection of Black unity, right? And we believe that our prayers will bring that on. We believe that our energy can bring that on, right? And we began Temple back in 2011 in Fort Worth, Texas, but we have Temple members all over the world, Temple members all over the country. You know what I'm saying? And you can go to don't go to newafricanunity.org just yet. Right, but that's our website, newafricanunity.org. We're still getting our SSL certificate and stuff taken care of, so it may say not secure when you go, but we have a new site that we're working on, newafricanunity.org. Right. And again, founded in 2011 by Amin and Amin Koyo with the help and support of the conscious community in DFW. Now, when I say conscious community, I'm talking about the Black community. I'm talking about Black people who are aware that we needed a safe space in order to come together. That's what it is. Right. And our philosophy is known as African-centered universalism. It's a belief system that focuses on the spiritual and cultural unity of people of African descent throughout the global diaspora. What we mean by unity is not we're all believing the same thing. The unity is not us all being best friends. Unity is the ability to come together on those things we have in common and the ability to leave each other alone on those things that we don't, right? At Temple, we focus on the universal truths and values that we have in common. We view spirituality from an African perspective, and our teachings are geared towards highlighting and promoting Black divinity. Right? We reject the lie that we come from a pagan and or a monolithic people. We are not all the same, and we're not going to all be the same. African spirituality, African spiritual diversity is vast, fascinating, and still evolving. So the New African Temple, or the Temple of New African Unity, is a hub for that development. Right? So this ain't a place to tell you what to believe. This isn't a place to tell you this is what it means to be an African. This is what it means. That's not what this place is. This isn't a place to promise you riches and fame if you come here. No. This is a place where you can nurture your development, nurture your spiritual development, nurture your mental development, your cultural development. It's a place where we can build unity, a place where we can support one another, respect one another, right? That's what Temple is. I'm not anti-debate. You can go out there and have your debates and that sort of thing. But what is your work going to show? What are you building? What is being built out of what you believe in? At the end of the day, that's what we have to look at. So if I come outside my house and there's a Rastafarian in the house on the right, and there's a Black Hebrew family in the house on the left, a strong African-centered Christian family right there, Muslims across the street, Black Muslim across the street. Man, you know what? That's going to be a pretty cool neighborhood, especially if everybody's walking in the tenets of their respective faiths. Because we all believe in providing a safe space for our children. We all pay reverence to a force that's bigger than all of us. We all have a set of behavior codes that we follow. So why wouldn't we make great neighbors? Why wouldn't we make a great community? We all believe in being politically aware and politically astute. We all fight for freedom and the liberation of Black people. So why are we fighting? Why should we be arguing? Why should we be debating over our differences when the strengths is in our unity, right? And so that's what Temple is all about. It's about nurturing that unity, right? The New African Temple also provides members of the Black community that are discovering knowledge of self a safe space to learn, ask questions, and observe without judgment and or manipulation from leadership. The Temple of New African Unity, we're not trying to get nothing from you. Our reward at Temple is you. Our reward is your development and what that development is going to do for our community. That's the reward. We don't want to tell you what to believe. We want you to study, pray, and think critically, underline that, about your spiritual development. We don't want no blind followers. We don't want blind followers at Temple. In our spirituality, in our group, in our community, It's about study. You need to know what's going on around you. It's about prayer. You need to go know what's going on inside of you, right? Prayer, meditation. And it's about thinking critically. Ask questions when it comes to your spiritual development. We offer a secondary spiritual home to devoted African-centered Christians, Muslims, Ifa, Rastas, Hebrews, Moors, etc. We're not trying to replace the mosque. Temple is not here to replace the church. We your secondary home. This is where you come after mosque. This is where you come after church. This is where you come to be with the rest of the family. We go in and we fellowship with your spiritual family, and I promote that, y'all. I don't tell people to come out of the church. I tell people to transform the church. I don't tell people to come out of the mosque. I tell people to continue to grow and transform the mosque, because when people take on the behaviors, when people take on the core values that are being taught by spiritual systems, their lives get better. Is there manipulation out there? Yes. Human beings are running these institutions. But are there good people out there who are honestly seeking righteousness? Yes. Are there good people out there that if they didn't have a spiritual system in their life, a method of prayer, a method of eating, a mode of dress, that they would be out of control? Absolutely. So who are we to snatch that away from them? That's not our goal. If that centers you, you keep that system. But now let's look at that system. Let's take ownership of that system. Let's grow and nurture that system and make it a powerful system for others as well. And don't accept any system that's going to take you away from being who God made you. Any system that's telling you that the way you were naturally made, that something's wrong with that, is probably the wrong system for you. Your God gotta like nappy hair. Your God has to love your broad nose. He gave it to you. Your God has to love your dark skin. He gave it to you. God has to honor your history and honor your ancestors. God don't hate your ancestors. You ain't no God that think your ancestors were pagans. That's not your system. Take ownership of your system and redeem your ancestors, redeem your culture, redeem your heritage wherever you are. Does that make sense? Right? We are a local and global meeting place for organizations dedicated to the uplift, sovereignty, and liberation of our people. The New African Temple, the Temple Experience, is a life-changing, paradigm-shifting institution that promises to spiritually and culturally enrich the lives of African people for years to come. Y'all, I didn't just pull this out of my pocket today. This is work that's being done. This is work that has been done, right? This is work. All right. This is work that has been done. This is work that's being done, right? We've been engaged in our community since 2011. Okay. We've been engaged in our community since 2011. Okay. And the New African Temple, we offer a variety of spiritual services and cultural services to the community. Of course, there's Sunday fellowship, right? Which is what we're doing right now. Every Sunday we meet in communities throughout the U.S. and abroad to fellowship, share, learn, and spread Black love and spiritual unity. Shout out to my brothers in Arizona. The Our Black Fathers Committee had the most recent Temple of New African Unity meeting in Arizona this summer at their RBG weekend, and it was a beautiful experience. Right, we're here. Right, we're also currently looking for a physical location in Columbia, South Carolina, to where we can hold fellowship at least twice a month, 2 Sundays out of the month. We want to begin having Temple here in Columbia as well, and we will come to your community and have Temple and bring this message of spiritual unity to your community. African-centered weddings, right? Black love is Black power. We have officiated several weddings over the years, and when I tell you, you ain't had a wedding ceremony until you had a Temple wedding ceremony. So that is also a service that we provide. We promote family at Temple. We promote the union between the Black man and Black woman, and the reproduction, the bringing back, the resurrection of our ancestors through African children. We believe in that. We believe that family is an African science, and we are family science activists. All right. So take that how you take it, right? Name corrections. We also do name corrections at Temple. We're African people, we believe that Black people have the right to self-determine. You have the right to Kuji Chagulia. And so we actually do a name correction ceremony for Africans, for people of African descent who want to correct their names. And we call it name corrections, not name changing, because whenever you are saying, I want to take on a name that's more culturally appropriate to me, then we say that that is a correction. Now, we do not attack those who continue to have their family names or the European names. We don't judge you by that. But for those who feel a spiritual inclination to take on an African-centered name, we provide those services and that help in that area as well. Spiritual life coaching, right? It can be confusing, man, especially when you're taking on African-centered thought and you haven't been raised in an African-centered environment. It can be confusing, and I've seen the transition go well, but I've also seen the transition to be terrible. I've seen people embrace consciousness because of a relationship that they're in, and they walk away from their church family, or they walk away from their mosque family, or they walk away from their Ifa family, they walk away from their spiritual family to engage in a new belief system, but they're not really into the belief system. They're just into that person that they're with. And if that relationship doesn't work out, here they are looking like, okay, have I really grabbed onto this belief system, or was I just believing in that? And that can be confusing. A lot of people feel like they're sinning. Man, I've dealt with Christians who come into a knowledge of self, and they feel guilty, a sense of guilt for taking pride in being who we are and who they naturally are. And so we offer spiritual life coaching. You know, a lot of times when things go wrong, a lot of times people take on a new belief system and think it is supposed to solve all their problems. Y'all, no belief system solves all your problems. That you're still going to have challenges in life. You're still going to have problems in life. That's a part of it. We'll help coach you through that. You know what I'm saying? Workshops, training, study groups. Of course, we provide that as well on a variety of topics. Whether it's decision making, whether it's the African-centered worldview. We're here to help train. We also ordain ministers for those of you who have it on your heart to teach and bring the word, the minister, Black unity to the people. We have a training, and we will ordain you in Temple as well. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's community outreach. We walk the hood, y'all. The Temple of New African Unity, we believe in the community walks. We just like them Black Power Jehovah Witnesses. You know what I'm saying? We walk in that neighborhood talking about the red, black, and green. We walk in that neighborhood talking about the power of Black unity. We walk in that neighborhood telling young people, man, to unify. We telling the young soldiers out there in the hood, you know what I'm saying, to do something with that, to redirect that energy away from each other and direct that energy towards building something for our future. You know what I'm saying? That there's an African proverb that says children who are neglected by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. I'm gonna say it again. Children who are neglected by the village will burn it down, right, to feel its warmth. I think one of the things that every Black spiritual body should do and should focus in on is outreach. It shouldn't be a Black spiritual body in the Black community that doesn't walk that community, that doesn't meet people in that community, that doesn't let that community know that they are there, right? And we believe that at Temple, and it's something that we do. You know what I'm saying? And peace, Arik, we'll definitely talk about that. Absolutely. I would love for you to go through the ordainment process here at Temple. You know what I'm saying? And Arik said, how do you explain that a God that believes your ancestors are evil and pagan is not your God? Because it's their God too. It's their God too. So is God saying I created pagan people? Is it heathens? Is God saying that yeah, I made a mistake when I made them, but you see me, they didn't? Nah, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't compute to me. That you have a creator that in some of y'all scriptures are created that's wiped out all of creation, that killer God. But he didn't kill your ancestors. I mean, you're here. He let them make it. So that's how we explain that. That's how we say if you're in a spiritual system that discounts your ancestors and their beliefs and their customs, you know what I'm saying? Then that's not the system for you. Look at the current Christian system, right? That a lot of people are in. You know, that you're taught that everything your ancestors did was voodoo, was black magic, it was pagan, right? But at the same time, you practicing Halloween. That's a European pagan ritual, right? At the same time, on Christmas, you don't say a whole lot about Jesus until you go to church. Mostly what you're talking about Santa Claus, right? That's an European pagan ritual. And I think I'm frozen. That's a pagan ritual. And let me refresh. Okay, what's going on? Just stop sharing. Okay. All right, let's stop sharing. And am I froze? I think I froze, y'all. I think I froze. Just waiting. Okay. I'm back. All right. And I got audio issues. Okay, let's see what's going on here. No problem. It happens. Let me see. Oh, they must have heard I was teaching that true. They must have heard I was teaching that true. Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check 1 2. All right, my mic is working. I think I'm black. I think I'm black. Am I black, y'all? Somebody come in the chat and let me know if I'm black in the game. Let me know if I'm black in the game. Let me know if I'm black in the game. All right. All right. Cool. I think I'm black in the game. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see. Blacktastic. All right. That's what's up. Peace to Sean Gales, my good brother. Great teacher, great instructor. You know what I'm saying? Uhuru Academy, born and raised. You know what I'm saying? Born and bred. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to you as well. Right. So I hope that answered your question, Ira. You know what I'm saying? Why we reject systems that reject our ancestors, reject any spiritual system that rejects your ancestors. These folks ain't never rejected their ancestors. You get to worship Jesus and Santa Claus at the same time. You get to worship the resurrection and have an Easter bunny at the same time. So they found a way to work in their pagan rituals with their spirituality. They found a way to work in their ancestors' rituals because they still believe in those rituals. Okay? They still believe in those rituals, right? And you have some powerful ancestral rituals that you have been neglecting because we've been taught that they're evil. But we have some powerful ancestral rituals, beliefs, and rites of passages that if we were to implement them on a regular basis today, oh man, look here. A lot of y'all still practice it. Yeah, you'd be surprised. A whole bunch of root women in the church always have been. Always have been, you know what I'm saying? So that's the Temple of New African Unity, y'all. And again, I was a little nervous about today, but my goal and my prayer is to keep this up, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna lie, I need your encouragement. I can use it. I can use your encouragement. I can use a few good soldiers that want to ride this out and believe in this mission and believe in this message right along with me. And this ain't just internet talk. Temple was founded physically in the community. And we're going to share the impact. And we're going to have people come to Temple to share the impact that the Temple of New African Unity has had on their lives directly. You know what I'm saying? I met Sean Gales, who's in the comments right now. I met him at Temple while teaching. We met after Temple, and I told him what I did as far as the Uhuru Academy is concerned, and he came to visit the Uhuru Academy, and then the next thing you know, he's on his way to college. He's on his way to college. He decided he knew what he wanted to be, and he went to college, got the degree, and now he's teaching through Temple. That's how we met. That's where that influence came from. And there are so many other stories. So my thing is, if we multiply that experience, throughout communities throughout the globe, what are the stories that can come from? Those of us who say we woke, those of us who say we're pro-black, we should be creating safe spaces through which transformation can take place for our people. And we should be celebrating those transformations. Not wasting time hollering at each other and yelling at each other, but celebrating those transformations. Ashe. Love you too, Eric. I appreciate that. All right. So let me bring up Baba Amin to deliver today's message. And I asked the question in the topic. The topic is, if NWA didn't launch the era of destruction in hip hop, who or what did? Now, I'm going to say it again. If NWA didn't launch the era of destruction in hip hop, who or what did? Recently, Special Ed, classic MC, great MC, was on Drink Champs, and they asked him, who would you pick between Wu-Tang and NWA? He said definitely Wu-Tang. He said Wu-Tang was a positive group and spit knowledge for the children. And then he said that NWA brought about the era of destruction in hip hop, and he says that that's the era that we're still in right now, is that we're in an era of destruction in hip hop. And what he meant was that time where gangster rap and messages about black self-destruction and black self-hate dominated the mainstream landscape in hip hop. And he's saying that NWA started that, or was the start of that. Right now, for those of you who don't know who NWA was, NWA is a rap group. NWA is an acronym that stands for niggas with attitudes. And the original lineup featured Ice Cube, MC Ren, Dr. Dre, Yella, and Eazy-E. And you had some other players in the background as well, including my good friend and one of the greatest writers I've ever met, the DOC. Their first album, Straight Outta Compton, came out in 1988. And there had never been an album out on a mainstream level like that before. Let me say this again. That was not the birth of gangster rap. Okay, Straight Outta Compton is not the first gangster rap album. NWA is not the first gangster rap group. As a matter of fact, NWA ain't even the first gangster rap group that Ice Cube was in. I was listening to records by a group called CIA before NWA. It was a precursor to NWA. You know what I'm saying? That Ice Cube was a part of, right? There was Schoolie D, you know, on the East Coast that was doing gangster raps, you know what I'm saying? And so NWA is not the birth of gangster rap, but it was the first time that gangster rap was brought into mainstream America, into the mainstream marketplace. We were already getting records in the hood. We was already getting these records in the streets, you know what I'm saying? And so I'll look at that. I'll check your comment out in a minute, Rick. I will. I definitely will. All right. We were already getting that type of music in the streets. So when Straight Outta Compton came out, for many of us in the neighborhoods, it was already in the hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an introduction to cussing in the music. You know what I'm saying? But for a lot of people, it was. For a lot of people, it was the first time on a record they heard black youth, you know what I'm saying, expressing themselves in a way that many would deem vulgar, in a way that many would deem violent, you know. But if you get a chance, go back and actually listen to Straight Outta Compton. And if you go back and actually listen to Straight Outta Compton, you'll find that there are a lot of powerful messages on that album as well. You'll find that a lot of the gangsterism was more satire, you know what I'm saying, than anything. You'll also find that musically, a lot of things were being done musically that hadn't really been done in hip hop before. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you always have the interaction with the DJ and the rapper, but there's a lot of cadence in there where they rapping and then they cutting in the sample right with the verse and that sort of thing. And so a lot of innovation went into that album as well. I don't want us to lose sight of the genius that was behind crafting that album, the talent that was behind crafting that album as well. But when you go listen to it, yeah, you're gonna hear some lines that will disturb you, like on Dope Man, you know what I'm saying? And when he said on Gangsta, when Cube say, life to a kid looking up to me, life ain't nothing but bees and money. But he's playing a character in that song. Right. And back then you knew he was playing a character in the song, but that character really reflected attitudes that were pervading throughout the black community. Right. And so we ask, who launched the era of destruction in hip hop? If there is an era of destruction in hip hop, if you would call it, you know, I have questions about that. When we say era of destruction, are we talking about from 1988 on to today? Has it been a 35-year era of destruction? right? Because for 35 years now, you have had a very steady gangster rap presence, over sexualized rap presence in hip hop. And over 35 years, you've had corporate America capitalizing on it for over 35 years. But you've had successful, positive hip hop during that time as well. Like, I don't consider Outkast to be a gangster rap group, and they're the most they sold more records than any rap duo. They're the most successful rap duo of all time. I don't consider them a gangster rap group, and they came out after 1988, right? You have other success. Missy Elliott by no means is a gangster rapper, but she's one of the most successful rappers of all time, male or female. That was after 1988. So when you call it an era of destruction in hip hop, right, we have to be careful that we don't paint all of hip hop culture with a broad brush, saying that hip hop is all about murder and violence, and that's what it's been about since 1988, because that's not the truth. An era of destruction for me is when the predominant impact a force has on a community is a destructive impact. And I don't feel that over the past 35 years that the most dominant impact that hip hop has had on the Black community has necessarily been a self-destructive impact. I don't know if that's the most dominant impact. I think that hip hop artists have done a great job of trying to bring balance. Hip hop artists have done a great job of trying to keep that positive, to keep that knowledge out there. You know what I'm saying? So I never want to discount that, because I've been in the music industry, and I was in the music industry in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And it is difficult to be a positive rapper. It was difficult to be a positive rapper and get opportunities during that time. It was because corporate America did jump on the gangster rap bandwagon, not just because it taught self-destruction to Black people, but because it sold to whites, which is another missing ingredient that people forget about. Most gangster rap historically has been bought by white people, not Black people. We have never been the primary consumer or a customer for gangster rap, even though we may have been the primary consumer of it. But we've never been a primary customer over the counter. So you found a music that crossed over in sales without necessarily crossing over in the mainstream. I hope I'm making sense. But as far as its impact on hip hop, that's just a continuation of corporate America's impact on hip hop. So we have to be correct and say that corporate America ushered in. If there's an age, if there's a such thing as an era of destruction in hip hop, corporate America brought it in, and groups such as NWA were used to push that corporate agenda. But it's a corporate agenda, not an NWA agenda. Does that make sense? Like, NWA didn't distribute its record. It didn't do that. Distribution was through Priority Records. NWA don't run Priority Records. You never see an NWA record without Priority Records agreeing to do it, without Jerry Heller making a deal with Priority Records for distribution. You never see it. You don't see NWA on MTV unless somebody said, yes, bring that over to MTV. Someone has to okay that. If you want to talk about the mainstream presence, someone has to okay that. They have very little to do with the proliferation of their music in the mainstream. And even in the underground, you needed help back then. Y'all, I was coming of age back then. My cousin was a DJ, and he used to get all the records. I lived in his room, listening to everything that he was coming. He was one of the few hip hop DJs in Fort Worth at the time. Shout out to Big Mike Boy. So even in the underground, it was difficult to get this music out here, but the music was out there. The music was in the streets. But what else was in the streets? Why was it in the streets? And why was Black people identifying with it? See, white folks were being fascinated by it, but a lot of black youth was identifying with it. Not all of us, but a lot of us were, because we were going through things in our community where even if you wasn't in it or of it, you were around it, especially in a lot of working class, urban black communities. I remember walking into my 10th grade class and somebody was playing Dope Man. It was the first time I heard it. Dope by High School. Dope man, man, give me a hit. Dope man, dope man. Dope man. And I remember hearing that and listening to that song, you know, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. They talking about dope fiends and talking about I'm the dope man. And I sat down, and right outside my window of my high school, I looked to my right and you could see Castlewood Apartments. Castlewood Apartments. I remember I went to elementary school right across the street, M.M. Walton. When I was in M.M. Walton Elementary School, Castlewood Apartments were the beautiful apartments that everybody wanted to live in. Retired military people and all that was living in Castlewood Apartments. They were beautiful apartments. If you got to an apartment in Castlewood, you was moving on up in the world. By the time I got to high school, Castlewood Apartments was one big dope house. You remember the Carter on New Jack City? Castlewood was the Carter. And I remember listening to Dope Man and making the immediate relationship between that song and Castlewood, because all that was happening in Castlewood right there in real time. But this was the first time I heard anybody on a public stage talk about it. Even if it seemed like they were glorifying it. You know, they were saying it like a kid would say it. Even if they were glorifying it, they was talking about it. And I'm like, man, this dang, you know, that's real. That's happening, right? And then for people who like me, who didn't live in Castlewood and wasn't finna walk over to Castlewood and investigate, I was like, oh, that's what's going on over there. I know I ain't going over there. I'm not about to go over there, you know. And that's another misconception, is that a lot of people think that when gangster rap came out, it influenced a bunch of black children to be gangsters. But the truth is that when it came out, it actually encouraged a lot of us to not be. Just as many of us heard it and said, no, we're not going that route. There's never been a time where all of us were gangsters. There's never been a time where every child in the hood was a thug trying to sell dope. It don't work like that. You ain't been to the hood if you think that. And sometimes you get so scared and so afraid of what's going on and so caught up in it, you paint everybody with the same broad brush. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous culturally. That's dangerous spiritually. I contend that NWA didn't bring about the era of destruction in hip hop. I believe that the destruction of the black community brought about the destruction era in hip hop. The crack era was the destruction era in the black community. We lived through the destruction era of our community. We lived through us being told that success meant leaving our community. The Jeffersons moved on up. We got to get as far away from black folks as you can. You want to be the first black person to live out there, the first black person to be over here, the first black. We were seeking acceptance. And in seeking acceptance, we were told to get away from who we are. Many urban black communities, you know, lost support from the government. Jobs began to disappear. New York was slums, man. Slums. Y'all remember the message? Broken glass everywhere. You're dealing with generational poverty, right? And this was intentional. This was not an accident. This wasn't black people being stupid. This was a combination of miseducation and genocide. The United States government allowed crack cocaine to be dumped in the black community, beginning in California. where Ronald Reagan, who was the president at the time, used to be governor and got clowned repeatedly by the black community when he was a governor. This was a part of his revenge. This was a part of his get back. He smiled watching the black community become ravished by crack because he hated the black community, because the black community embarrassed him over and over again while he was governor of California. He loved the fact that former activists like Dr. Hewitt P. Newton had gotten caught up in that epidemic, that a lot of the Shakurs and a lot of those activists, those black power youth from the 60s and early 70s were now fighting heroin addictions, fighting crack addictions because they were suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome and nobody was taking care of them. He loved that. They love that they've compounded this new welfare system, this new welfare state where the man can't be in the home. Now you drop that despair on the community. There ain't no jobs in the community. Now you drop these drugs in the community. And the fabric of the black family began to break down from within. And it's hard to get up and to keep and to make songs about love and happy and smiling when that's your open reality. Art began to imitate life. What corporate America did, corporate America said, okay, this gangster thing can catch on, but what we want to do is we want to gangster it up and politic it down. Just like people talk about F the Police by NWA. That's a political song. That's a song about police brutality. Y'all was just outside screaming no justice, no peace a few months ago. Y'all was just outside protesting. We still screaming Black Lives Matter 30 years later. After they put the F the Police song out. But what was the message in that song? And a lot of us who were on the ground back then, you know what I'm saying, had to talk about the message behind that song. We had songs on the album like Express Yourself by Dr. Dre would say, I don't smoke weed or sex. Like that's a very, Express Yourself is a very positive song. But after that album became a hit, the formula became gangster it up more, depoliticize it. And so you saw the corporations start promoting rappers. Like, rappers, artists have to submit their music to their corporate masters before it's released. Back then, there was no such thing as now you can get on United Masters and just release your song. Back then, you had to go through the record label. And record labels don't like political music. Even Berry Gordy didn't want to put out Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. He said it was too political. You almost didn't get Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album because a black man told him it was too political. We're not putting that out. We want them crossover dollars. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the music. It's about intellectual property and how much of it can you license and sell. That's what that business is all about. It's not about anything else. But when you are people that's in the condition that we were in the communities, in what our community was going through, the pandemic that our community was going through, gangster rap was scapegoated. Gangster rap was scapegoated, and the blame was put on black youth for the condition of the black community. In the mainstream, black youth became the problem in black America. In the mainstream, it became the young black thug, the young black male, or what Hillary Clinton would call the super predator. Poverty wasn't the problem. No. Crack was no longer the problem. No. Matter of fact, we dehumanized our drug addicts. And part of what the music did, the music reflected the dehumanization of our drug addicts. Instead of being I remember it was Miss Curl who was hooked on crack. Then she became a dope fiend. Look, she a dope fiend. She a crackhead. Now it's your mama's a crackhead, your auntie's a crackhead. They don't have names anymore. That dehumanization came because that insensitivity that society has towards black people. We internalize that insensitivity and we show it towards each other. Because once I'm convinced I ain't worth a damn, then I have to earn my way into being worth a damn. And one of the things I have to do is distinguish myself from anybody else that looks like me. I'm not like the rest of you niggas. I'm not like the rest of y'all. And in my having to be different from you, I can't fight for you and fight to be different for you from you at the same time. I can't stay here and try not to be of here at the same time. I got to go. So if I do become a black dentist, I got to get out of the hood. If I do become a black teacher, I got to get out of the hood. If I do become a black doctor, I got to get out of the hood. Well, who's left? Dope man, dope man. Who's left? No. The destruction era of the black community brought about the destruction era in hip hop. Now, hip hop is black music, and hip hop reflects the pulse of black culture. Always has. And if you want to look at the state of hip hop, then you got to look at the state of the black community at the time, and you can't gloss over that. And yes, the music industry capitalized on the conditions in the black community, but those messages didn't create those conditions. They capitalized on them. They monetized those conditions. They made it to where they could be exploited. And best believe NWA was exploited too. Yes, they made some money, but they didn't make the lion's share. That's why Cube left. They were exploited too. The music business is designed to exploit the artists. You know how many artists signed record deals during that time trying to be copycats? Huh? And you know how many never came out? You know how many ended up right back on the block? But corporate America kept chugging along, kept chugging along. And what was happening inside of our community at the same time, though? We were feeling more powerless to change our condition. And that's one of the things that we do when we start saying, see, the rap did it. They did it. They did it. You're taking away your power to transform it. You're taking away the only way we're going to change it is if we own it. We have to own it. And we all have to own the parts that we play. No, not everybody is saying be on the record. But some of us make a very concerted effort not to support black-owned businesses. Some of us refuse to invest in the black community. Some of us are smoking, drinking away our lives. Some of us are forsaking education. Some of us are impregnating women and leaving them and not taking care of their children, not taking their responsibilities. Some of us are allowing others to use our bodies for money and commodifying ourselves. There are a whole lot of ways. There are a whole lot of ways to do damage to the black community. Gangster rap is just a reflection of that damage. But when done effectively, it can be done in a way to where, yeah, I'm giving you this negative, but I'm putting this positive message in here to convince you that we need to turn it around. There was also always a battle inside of gangster rap to bring that balance. When you listen to rap a lot and you listen to old Ghetto Boys records, and shout out to Jay Prince, you know what I'm saying? When you look, it was an honor to work with him. When you look at rap a lot and you look at old school Ghetto Boys, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they had some real raw songs. I mean, some real raw songs, but they had some powerful political messages in there too. But that's just the mind of the Negro. That's the mind of that black man or that black woman that's fighting poverty in the neighborhood, still struggling with self-esteem and reflecting the hurt and harm that we do to each other in that process. It's hard to respect your woman when you don't respect yourself. When you declare yourself a nigga, when you declare yourself a thug, when you declare yourself to be that, you need your woman to come down there with you. So now she finna be a commodity.
We already practicing that European patriarchy. So in our minds, we raised the woman is supposed to be our property, our women. Y'all our property anyway. So if I'm gonna be low, you got to be low. I'm not gonna call myself a nigga, a thug, and a killer and all that, and then call you the queen. So yes, the misogyny came. There's no way I'm going to feel less than or project myself as being something savage or something wild, and I'm not bringing you to. And no, you're not going to have an elevated position. You didn't have an elevated position when we was devout Christians. You was property then. So when we cross over into this world, you still hold that same role. But instead of my wife, instead of my rib, now you my B or you my H. And it hurts. But we hurt. And hurt people. And what we're not going to do is sit back and ladder ourselves and put blame on music and not deal with what was actually going on in our communities across the nation at the time. Some of y'all lost some aunties to that. Some of y'all lost parents to the era of destruction in the Black community. When I listen to Straight Outta Compton, NWA, remind me of a bunch of kids who lost their parents to the game. They reminded me of the children who were neglected by the village. And when children are neglected by the village, they'll burn it down to feel its warmth. There was a failure of Black children that happened in the 1980s that we don't want to hone up to. NWA represented perhaps that first generation, that vibration, that anger, that rage, that wanted to go into the party and shoot it up, that wanted to like no girls wanted them on that album. Like I'm listening to that album and no girls wanted them. There were so many songs where the girls said no, and then they called them a B. They teaching no response. Like they were so unwanted. They were the unwanted children in the village on that album. Go listen to Straight Outta Compton. They're the unwanted children who are willing to sell drugs because this village don't love me anyway. There's nothing in this village for me. This is promising me money over here. I'm supposed to get this money. The heck with this poverty. I'm not going to go try to work at McDonald's. I'm going to go get this money. I don't care if your auntie buy it. I don't care if your mama buy it. I'm going to sell it to her. I'm about to burn this village down so I can feel its warmth. When we look at our children today, we letting the TV raise them, not the TV. We letting the phones raise them. We letting the tablets raise them, the community raise them. We don't know what type of values are being poured into our children each day. You think they just watching TV shows. Y'all, they don't do TV shows no more. These are videos that are being uploaded by people that have messages in them. Are you aware of them? That's neglect. That's neglect when you don't know. That's neglect when you don't build institutions and safe spaces inside your community. It's neglect when it's not a real fight to get drugs off the streets in your community. There was no real fight. There was never a war on drugs. It was a war on Black people. There was never a real fight to solve the crack epidemic in the Black community. Never. They monetized it with a crime bill that your current president authored. That Democratic Party that you love so much boosted and promoted. They criminalized our disease. I don't see them running around arresting a bunch of these the white heroin addicts, the opioid epidemic. Y'all see them? Has the white prison population increased by 400% as a result of the opioid epidemic, like the Black prison population increased during the crack epidemic, particularly among Black women? It hit us in home. So when Ice Cube is rapping on I ain't the one to get played like a poo butt. See, I'm from the streets, so I know what's up on these silly games that's played by the women. I'm only happy when I'm going up in them. What's that attitude? And where is that attitude born? What's that attitude? What's going on in the streets? When young girls are saying we just use a man for his money. He got money. Let's go get with them. What are they doing? They fighting poverty. Man, I remember a time where mamas was turning their daughters out left and right in certain communities. I'm a witness to that. I've seen that. I saw the trust get eroded. Man, you can't trust relationships. You can't trust where she from. From over here, from this section. Oh, you can't trust them. They cutthroat over there. That whole dynamic. That dynamic is created by poverty. That dynamic is created by self-hate, miseducation. That dynamic is created by a drug epidemic. And you can't skip over that and then look at the young people that's making the music and say, y'all wrong for doing that. Y'all the problem. They're not the problem. That's just a symptom of the problem. Their enablers are a big part of the problem. The profiteers are a big part of the problem. But the youth that are creating the music, no. They're a symptom of the problem. And you got to really treat the source of the problem if you want to find a solution. So when we look at this era today, and we look at young people today and what they're talking about today in the music, and we should listen and we should pay attention to it when we listen to the op music and all of that. Don't look at the young people and just start shaking their head. No, we have to look in the mirror as a community and say, this is what we're raising. These are our children. And you might say, them ain't my kids. Them kids over there. You know, but that over there, that's your people. And what their children are doing is impacting the image of your child. It's impacting the safety of your child. Not just safety as far as your child being in the wrong place, wrong time among other Black folks, but safety in your child experiencing systemic racism wherever they go, where people may assume that your child is just like all them others. No, you have to care. And we can't just hide from it. And we can't scapegoat each other. So much respect to Special Ed. Much respect. And I get what he was saying. And I love that him and the Dog Pound got together and they're talking about hosting forums to really talk about that, because we do have to take ownership of the parts that we play. Because we're not destroyed without our cooperation. We're not suppressed without our cooperation. You're not oppressed without Black cooperation. None of it happens without a section of our community cooperating. That's a fact. And for many of us, a serious transformation has to take place in order for us to stop cooperating in our own destruction, in our own demise, our own spiritual destruction, our own economic destruction. But I don't want us to move just in a mentality of what we're trying to prevent. I want us to move out of a belief in what we're going to become. I want us to move in a belief of what we're building. I want us to move because we have a vision for the future that we know that we're going to obtain. And that we believe in it so much that we say, you know what, while I live this life, this is the vision that we're working for collectively, and we all got a day to die. We're all going to transition. But while I'm living this life, that's the vision that I'm moving towards. While I'm living this life, I'm not moving in fear. I'm not moving in spite. I'm not moving in shame. I'm moving in promise. I'm moving in strength. I'm moving in faith and in belief that we're going to transform ourselves, transform our communities, in belief that we're going to build a legacy for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, a belief that we're going to take over the education process for our children and for ourselves, A belief that we're going to reclaim our lands globally. A belief that we're going to wake up and we're going to look in the mirror and we're going to love what we see. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. I'm talking about us. And anybody that doesn't want that for you is not your friend. Anybody that fears the liberation of Black people is not your friend. Anybody that fears you loving your heritage, loving your ancestors is not your friend. Anybody who doesn't want you to have powerful institutions that promote your culture is not your friend. Anyone who will make money and monetize the worst of you, the lowest of you, your lowest vibrations, they're not your friend. They're exploiting you. Because when you vibrating low, you can't even truthfully benefit off of what you build in the first place. And you definitely can't build anything that's going to last. We're the biggest consumers in America. In that we spend the largest percent, we spend the largest percentage of our income than anybody. Because it's hard to think about the future when you just barely trying to be here. We have a future. And yes, there are negative elements in hip hop. But I'm raising my voice. You raise your voice. Don't demonize the culture. Don't demonize Black youth. Don't demonize the art form. Unless you're going to call all the other spades a spade too. Unless you're going to come and help build institutions inside our community that'll help transform the thinking of our young people. They'll embrace the ones who are still dealing with the impact of the age of destruction in the Black community and provide safe spaces for them to heal. Can you imagine being an 8-year-old boy, seeing your father gunned down in the front yard, your mama addicted to crack cocaine, you staying with your auntie, she got 4 kids, you sleeping on the floor, you routinely being reminded, I barely got enough for my own, but you know. Then you sent to school and you angry. Somebody step on your foot. You light up into them because you angry. You're 8 years old. You angry. You go to the guidance counselor, go to the principal's office. What's wrong with you? Why you so angry? And you say, I miss my daddy. And the principal look at you in your 8-year-old eyes and tell you, stop using that as an excuse. When you say, my mama didn't come home last, I ain't seen my mama in 3 weeks, and they look at you like you still got to sit up straight and walk in line. Stop using that as an excuse. You're going to end up just like your daddy if you don't turn it around. Is that what you tell an 8-year-old? That's what the 8-year-olds were told in 1988. 8-year-olds are being told that all over the country. One of my first students in 1992, he was told that at school. Another one was told when he got in trouble and couldn't control his emotions, instead of getting counseling, he was told he was going to end up in the penitentiary just like his big brother. That's what he was told. Hell, he internalized that. Penitentiary became a rites of passage, and now he in the penitentiary just like his big brother. But who could he have been if someone gave a damn? Who could he have become if when he was 8 years old, somebody said, I care about you? That it's not your fault that your mama's on drugs. It's not your fault that your daddy was shot. And you need counseling, and we want to help you grieve. We want to help you heal. You don't have to go back to class today if you don't want to. I'm going to talk to your teacher. We're going to start a support group for students with incarcerated parents. Did that happen? So who brought destruction to hip hop? Because when that baby go and start expressing what's on his heart, what you think gonna be on it? I need love. What you think gonna be on his heart when he start expressing himself? Yeah, we all gotta own it. We have to own it back then, and black people, we gotta own what's going on right now. We have the ability and the resources to transform our community. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. This is not a skill issue. This is a will issue. And I contend that our upliftment has to be our religion if it's going to happen. We got to attach it to God. We got to attach it to our belief system. It's not a side hustle. It's not a charity. It's everything. It's our calling. It's our mission. And if we don't believe in it that deeply, how are we going to build the future that we want to build for our people? And don't worry about everybody else. Because if we good, the world is good. Don't worry about other folk. You love on you. Love on us. If we good, the world is good. Because the only group we really mistreat on a regular basis is our own. Everybody else is pretty safe. That's what I have today. I want y'all to go out this week, and I want you to love on yourself, love on your families, love on your people, love on your community. If you're not engaged in anything in positive in your community, get engaged. Volunteer at the youth center. Get involved with a food drive. Start a food drive. Host a talent show. Do something positive in your community. Volunteer to tutor some young people. Hold a webinar on what it means to be a good man. Hold a webinar on what it means to be a good woman. Get out there and be active in your community. Be the best that you can be at your work. You represent all of us when you're there. So keep your head up and quit complaining. You know, do the job knowing that you don't work for anybody. You're working for your family. You're working for yourself. Learn a new skill. Add to your skill bank this week. Everything we do to add to ourselves gets us closer to where we want to go. And let's keep talking about where that is. Let's keep talking about what we want. Do we even want a black community? And if we want black communities, what do we want them to look like? Do we want the black community to be a symbol of racism? Black people only live there because white folks make them live there? Or do we want to intentionally build black communities that affirm black culture, black heritage, black owned businesses, black families? Do we feel like we need to build communities where we live amongst each other so we can protect who we are? I don't know. Other groups do it. It seems to be working pretty good. That's something we're going to continue to talk about in Temple. I love you. I don't mind telling you. Thank you for listening. All right. If you would like to donate to Temple, right? If you would like to donate to Temple, you can do so, right? By donating to the Uhuru Academy, our school, right? And I'm going to put the cash app to the Uhuru Academy on the screen. Okay. All right. And we will definitely set up a donation, a tithing and donation link for Temple members. We're going to set up a membership process for those of you who would like to join the Temple of New African Unity, who would, if you heard something that touched you, if you heard something that you feel should be amplified, we invite you to join us and be a part of this movement. You do not have to leave your current spiritual family in order to do so. Again, we're your second spiritual family. And we honor and respect that. But we will welcome you. We will welcome you in here with this work to bring positive energy to our community, this work to bring resources to our community, to build resource banks for our community. We welcome you to be a part of that, this movement to bring spiritual enlightenment and cultural awareness to our community. We welcome you to be a part of that. But definitely you can support us at $Uhuru Academy. Be on the lookout for membership opportunities. And, we want to amplify your voice as well. We want to amplify your business. If you have a business, please put your business in the comments, put your link in the comments on this video. We want to do that, and we want to explore new ways to promote your business, and so you have an ally in the temple of New African Unity. All right. I want to shout out to the Nubian Import Arts and Services Business Collective. Shout out to you all. I want to shout out to Uhuru Academy, South Carolina, UASC International. All right. Check them out at uascinternational.org. I also want to shout out to Dr. Oya Mayat and Conscious Ingenuity. Go to consciousingenuity.com and check out the brilliant STEM program that our sister, Dr. Oya Mayat, has created. I love working with this sister. We did a STEM camp this summer that was very successful. And when you talk about somebody who has attained the highest levels of education and used it as a tool to empower and reach Black, that is Dr. Oya Mayat. We are super grateful to be in her presence and to be in partnership with her as well. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to all independent African Center schools out there, y'all. Keep working. The Uhuru Academy, though, y'all, is now enrolling. Our UA online program is a K through 12 online private school and homeschool partner for Black families. All right. For those of you in particular who are living in Florida and in Arizona, you have universal school choice in your states. You can actually enroll in the Uhuru Academy and use your state scholarship to pay for your tuition. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, y'all want to jump on that. For everyone else, go to uhuruacademy.com and check us out. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. The most important investment you'll ever make is in your child's education. It's the most important investment you'll ever make. And right now, within many public schools, right, there's a cookie cutter approach, out there that just ain't touching everybody. All right. And before you allow them to convince you that there's something wrong with your child, you owe it to your child to try something different, to try an educational system, an education that's tailored towards their strengths, not their weaknesses. That's the Uhuru Academy. Check out the uhuruacademy.com. We ain't got no excuses, y'all. Check out the uhuruacademy.com. Be on the lookout for our adult Black History class. Matter of fact, we're going to make that a temple membership requirement, is that you complete the adult Black History class. I can't have y'all walking around here, members of temple, and you don't know our story. You know what I'm saying? So, but also learning our story, especially in the way that we teach it, is key in reinforcing the values that we believe in. All right. Hey, shout out to Lone Star RBG, all my comrades in Lone Star RBG. I love you. And shout out to the Temple family. Again, Baba Mahari, we love you. Lost his queen, Amina Fu, this past week. We honor her. We honor Amina Fu, Miss Carmen Washington, and her family. We send our love, our condolences, and our respect to them as well. All right. Hey, y'all, that's what I have. Support the Uhuru Academy. Support uhuruacademy.com. Visit our school store. Buy you some merch. It's hoodie season. You know what I'm saying? You got the Uhuru Academy hoodies on deck. Matter of fact, go to blacknationstore.com. Y'all like, dang, Bob, you always selling something. Yeah, y'all, I'm always selling something because it costs in order to serve. But what I want to do is make sure that for those who don't just want to donate, right? I want to give you an opportunity to do something for yourself that does something for us at the same time. So go to blacknationstore.com and you can check out some official Uhuru Academy merch there. So definitely go on there and get that hoodie, get you some socks, you know what I'm saying? Get you some mugs, got the Uhuru Academy mug, you got the Uhuru Academy solid steel travel mug and other items in that store. So definitely go and show your support. All right. Like and share and comment. Let everybody know that the temple is open. Let everybody know that the temple is open for business and that we're looking for family. We're looking to build our community and we're looking to spread this word. I love you. I don't mind telling you. Peace, y'all.